Welcome to the show, everybody. It's the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. Nice to have you along for the ride. I am so excited. I'm excited. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm very excited. I shouldn't care this much about a regular season 76ers game when I am the one that has been saying this entire time that the Sixers only have 82 games of a preseason before the playoffs start, and that's been my philosophy. I'm going to enjoy the season. It's a sheer entertainment. But, man, I was really excited to see the Sixers beat the Celtics, and I was very excited to see the Sixers in control of that game up until the last, minute and a half of the game. They were very much in control. The first quarter, not so much in control, and then they took over for about two quarters and two quarters and the 24 minutes, about 31 minutes. And then it hit the fan. Then the Celtics went on a 10-0 run in 56 seconds. In 56 seconds, they went on a 10-0 run on the Sixers in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. And then I was a little worried. But to see them control the game really throughout and then be able to close out the game, the phrase, this is a game that last year's 76ers lose, that's what comes to mind. And they didn't lose. They held on, and they beat the Boston Celtics 106-103 last night. I'm going to limit my reaction to this game because at the end of the show, we're going to close with my instant reaction from last night. Something I'm going to try to do throughout the season with the Sixers. I had so much fun doing it during baseball season, doing post-game shows. And I was like, I got to do this with the Sixers because I love basketball, love the Sixers, and I want to do this throughout the regular season as well for some big games. So I was able to hop on for the first time after a big game, and it was this Boston Celtics game. And the Sixers now are the number one team in the Eastern Conference after that win over the Celtics. It was fantastic. So I'm going to limit my reaction. We will hear from Joel Embiid a little bit later in the show. We'll enjoy that because it's an important thing. The word culture gets thrown around a lot, and I think only certain times it's applicable, okay? The Sixers used that last night. Joel Embiid used that term last night. Now, you might look at it and say, Sixers culture. What is the Sixers culture? Sixers culture is losing with the process and getting bounced out in the second round and early exits in the playoffs galore. That's the culture. Where you might look at it with a team like the Eagles and go, well, yeah, the culture matters because we've heard from every free agent, every trade that has happened with Howie Roseman in the last 5-6 years, really since that Super Bowl, that the culture here in Philadelphia is pretty special. So although a lot of people might just brush that aside and say that's high school Harry stuff, who cares about culture? It's all about winning. Yeah, but if you have a good culture, it tends to help you win. And the Eagles have proven that. Now, 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years, and they look to be well on their way to another. But Joel Embiid uses the word culture with the Sixers, and I got to say, you've had some bad seeds here to ruin the culture. Ben Simmons being one of them, James Harden being another. And Jimmy Butler, I like his culture. At the time, it didn't mesh too well with the Sixers culture, which was all about keeping Ben Simmons happy. So that's unfortunate. But Joel Embiid invokes it. We'll get to that a little bit later, and I actually think it applies, especially in the aftermath of James Harden being here. So we'll get to that conversation. The Phillies, we got to get into the Phillies today. A couple of stories we got to talk about. One is Aaron Nola, according to Howard Eskin, 7 years, 30 million a year for 7 years. Nope. See you later. I told you that I was willing to go to 5 years at 30 million per. Considering Carlos Rodon, and that's the guy I've been talking about, Rodon, is the guy I've been talking about mostly in comparison to Nola. If the baseline for that kind of deal is about 5 years, 6 years at most, 27 million per for Rodon, I'll go to 30 for Nola, maybe 32 at the absolute most. But I stress this. I see a lot of people bragging for Aaron Nola about being an innings eater. As I told you throughout the season, if you're supposed to be a 1 or a 1A or even a 2 on a good rotation, innings eater is not a brag. If you're going 6 innings and your ERA is around even 3 with the universal DH now, I'm fine with that. That's a guy worth bringing back at $30 million per by the market standards. I know a lot of people look at contracts in sports and nobody's worth that. Yeah, well, in their market, it's worth it. Okay, so let me just brush that aside for a second. But as far as this deal goes with Aaron Nola, I'm not going 7 years. I'm not going $30 million per over that time. You want to go 7 years, you're going to bump that number down a wee bit there, son. That's not happening, as we know. 7 years for a 30-year-old pitcher would be 31 when the season starts. Forget about it. Or 31 in June. No, thank you. And I have been a Nola defender. I feel like I have been more of a Nola truther to some people. For the people that really ride the high waves and low waves, of the waves and the swells as well, when it comes to judging Aaron Nola, I feel like I've been pretty down the line with him. Pretty much a straight shooter when it comes to Aaron Nola. And 7 years at 30 per, I don't think so. Not happening. Oh, he's durable. Well, you just jinxed that, so that goes out the window. Because it's coming. As the age comes up there, as the number starts to get higher, that health is not going to be something that the Phillies can rely on. And that's not just the Phillies, that's any pitcher in baseball ever. With the exception of Nola Ryan, obviously. Well, I'm sorry. Any pitcher in baseball post the pitch count. That's where I'll go with that. So I'm not going there. Rhys Hoskins, most likely on his way out of Philadelphia. Dave Dombrowski at the general managers meetings yesterday in Arizona talked about it, saying that the goal right now is, not the goal. Matter of fact, Bryce Harper is our first baseman going forward. Bryce said to Dave Dombrowski, I'll do whatever. This is according to Dave Dombrowski. I'll do whatever you want. I don't mind staying at first. If you're Dave Dombrowski and you got Bryce Harper on a happy accident, a silver lining to an injury, I'll call it, discovering that he can play first base and play first base very well, you just found a silver lining and you just found a happy accident and you just got lucky. You have a $330 million player. You have a two-time MVP. And you have the ability now to put him at first base and not have any problems and open up an outfield spot permanently. And you have a couple of outfielders already that you would like to see mature, and Christian Pache and Brandon Marsh continue to get better, and obviously Yohan Rojas in center field. Yeah, I'd say you're pretty set. But if you want to make a trade to bolster, to get another bat in this lineup, I think that's what you got to do. I don't know who that person is yet. If you want to make an acquisition, you can make an acquisition in free agency. You can trade Nick Castellanos. I've told you guys before, I like that being thrown out there. I think it's a guy that you could see go elsewhere and bring something back in return that can help you win now. And you could also potentially trade him for somebody who's not on a long-term deal, or who's on a long-term deal, but maybe not an expiring contract, but in the last few years of it. You could get something back for Nick Castellanos. And quite frankly, I just think he's programmed to swing at those low and away pitches. You can hold off for only a limited amount of time before he starts flailing away at them. The future of the Phillies, I still think, is bright. They do have some tough decisions to make, and I think they just made the second toughest. Nola and that contract, that is going to be something. That's going to be the toughest decision, because somebody for pitching is going to overpay. Somebody is going to go $35 million for Aaron Nola. And I don't want the Phillies to go there. Someone could go $38 million for Aaron Nola. And I think that would be ridiculous. But we are talking about the open market. We are talking about a guy who's pitched in the World Series. We are talking about a guy who's finished in the top 4 in Cy Young voting twice. We are talking about a guy who's finished in the top 7 in Cy Young voting 3 times. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. I'd like to see Aaron Nola back, but not at a ridiculous deal. I think the Phillies have enough money tied up in this team right now to worry about a guy like Aaron Nola, who is, quote, an innings eater. The unfortunate thing, and I even said this during the regular season for Aaron Nola, is that his good and bad years have seemed to alternate. They had one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. That's kind of how it goes for Aaron Nola. So if he does sign elsewhere and the Phillies don't bring him back, we're going to have to watch him have a good year somewhere else. So we'll go out on that a little bit further, especially when it comes to Rhys Hoskins not playing first base and Bryce Harper playing first base. We'll get to that a little bit more as the show goes on. And then I'd like to start with this. We are on the Eagles bye week, but I really had to wake up to this. Seriously. This is from the good people of ESPN SportsCenter. You see it right there. And I know I put up something yesterday from SportsCenter, and I don't want to be pimping that product as much, but I just don't get it. They did an overreaction, not an overreaction. And their overreaction for the Philadelphia Eagles, the best team in the NFL right now, at 8-1, is that the overreaction is the NFC East race is over and the Eagles have won it. I think the most appropriate reaction to the Eagles being 8-1, the Cowboys being 5-3, the Eagles going into their bye week and looking like the team who knocks, to steal a line from one of my favorite TV characters ever, Walter White. They are the danger, Skyler. The Eagles winning the NFC should be the overreaction, not the NFC East. And I don't even think winning the NFC is the overreaction. I'd say that's about par for the course. 49ers don't look scary anymore. Cowboys sure as hell don't look scary. Detroit Lions, they look like a team, that's going to be pretty damn good coming out of the NFC. And a team that I wouldn't love to face in the playoffs, tell you that much. But if the Eagles have home field advantage, I like that. I like that a lot. But to wake up to ESPN and SportsCenter putting this out on social media saying that the overreaction is the Philadelphia Eagles, being that the NFC East race is over and the Eagles have won it, that's an overreaction? I might agree with you if it comes to the NFC. You could argue that. But the NFC East race, that's over? Really? I got news for you. It's over. The Cowboys' soul has been taken. I know that they got a pretty easy schedule. They got the Giants coming up. They got the Panthers coming up. So, yeah, it's pretty easy. The Eagles, meanwhile, when they come back from their bye, they got the Chiefs. That's not fun. That's not going to be an easy one. So, yeah, I don't feel great about that. And then after, who's the Bills? I don't feel particularly wonderful about what it looks like going forward for the Philadelphia Eagles over this gauntlet of games. It is going to be tough. A lot of these teams do look very beatable, as we've said many times over. But to take a look at the schedule right now, when they come back from their bye week, here's what it looks like. All right, here we go. So they beat Dallas already. They're back on November 5th. They have their bye. Then it is Kansas City. Then of this gauntlet, as I said at the time, the Eagles have two of these games at home. When it comes to Buffalo and San Francisco before they go to Dallas again, or face Dallas again, this time in Dallas on December 10th. And that's a Sunday night kickoff. I feel fantastic about this schedule. I mean, it's going to be tough. But as I said, when the Eagles held on to beat the Cowboys, who, look, I give them credit, they're a good football team. I think they got exposed again as a team that chokes. But Kansas City does not look like Kansas City, and they're coming off their bye week as well. Let's not forget that. It doesn't look like Taylor Swift will be there. She's got her Eras tour starting off in, South America or something? And I hate that because I follow football. I know that. I don't know really anything. I don't know that much about Taylor Swift, to be honest. I know she's hailed. I know she is a pop icon. I know she's originally from Reading, so that's cool. I still like the fan theory that she is just trying to lure Travis Kelce and distract him ahead of a Super Bowl for an Eagles-Chiefs matchup. And she could play the devil in disguise, the wolf in sheep's clothing. But anyway, you go to Kansas City for Monday night, then Buffalo in Philly, and then San Francisco in Philly. I feel really good about those two games. Buffalo's defense is horrifying more than anything to me. But other than that, I think this Eagles squad is going to be looking pretty good against both those teams. This Kansas City one, if I have to pick a loss on this list, it's Kansas City. And maybe everyone's going to be going in that direction, and maybe the Eagles shock the world. I don't know. But it's still going to be hard to stop with this defense, with the situation that they're in right now, with their secondary, how banged up they are. Hopefully Bradley Roby comes back. It's going to be an issue. So Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, and then go to Dallas. And then they have, after that, Seattle. They go to Seattle. But looking at that list, once again, the Eagles are the team that knocks. They're the team that should be striking fear into every team but Kansas City because Kansas City has already beaten them. As we learned yesterday, Nakobe Dean goes down with an injury, a Liz Frank injury. It's not a good look for the people that were saying that Nakobe Dean was too small, for the people that are still saying Nakobe Dean is too small to survive in the NFL and be a middle linebacker at the NFL level. You guys look pretty smart right now, but that doesn't help the fact that I think the guy's got a lot of talent. But if he can't stay on the football field, Nakobe Dean, friend of the show, I'll say, if you can't stay on the football field, then there's no sense of showing off the ability if there is unavailability. And that's what it seems to be the case right now for Nakobe Dean. As far as the Eagles go, as the position goes for the Eagles, Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow have played fantastic. They have far exceeded my expectations. And how about Ben Von Sumeren dressing for last week's game against the Dallas Cowboys? Practice squad guy, all the natural talent, former fullback turned linebacker, all that stuff, and now he's dressing for you as a linebacker at the NFL level? What? I did not think I'd ever say this about the Philadelphia Eagles post Jeremiah Trotter. Man, they are really deep at the linebacker position. You can afford to lose your starting middle linebacker at two different stints in the season and hopefully going forward still not miss a beat. They didn't miss a beat going forward after Nakobe Dean missed, 4 weeks with the foot injury? Now he's got the Liz Frank injury. Not going to see him anytime soon. And now Zach Cunningham. Now Nicholas Morrow. Now Ben Von Sumeren is going to be taking over that spot. All right. Have at it, fellas. One thing I didn't talk about enough down the stretch of that Dallas Cowboys game was how Zach Cunningham came up clutch in the red zone, coming up with 3 consecutive stops before the Cowboys came up short on that goal line stand to Scoodbaker. Is that his name? The tight end? Zach Cunningham has been fantastic this year. Nicholas Morrow, all 3 of his sacks came in one game, but still, he's got 3 sacks on the season. I'll take it. He showed that ability to be where the ball is, make it happen, get after the quarterback, show that quickness, read the play, give good pursuit. I didn't think I'd say this, but they're pretty deep at linebacker. Now they're not because their starter is out, but they got guys that will make you not miss Nakobe Dean. And that hasn't, unfortunately, this season been exactly a high bar. The guy that I'm looking forward to the most coming back is Bradley Roby because, man, and credit to my man Ari, who hits us up a lot in the chat and follows the show. Ari, what's up? From St. Louis. That's how you guys would know him. One of the things about Ari is he sent me this clip yesterday of Dan Orlovsky breaking down the Eagles coverage on CeeDee Lamb. Not great. Not great. And it was other Cowboys wide receivers as well. I had said that the most likely scenario was the Eagles were going to throw different looks at CeeDee Lamb. And boy, did they. Sidney Brown, Darius Slay, which was still their best option. Eli Ricks, who got turned around a number of times. Kevin Byard coming down. Not great. I understand the philosophy behind it. Never knowing who's covering. But Sidney Brown, no. Guy's a safety, and all of a sudden you're playing nickel corner against CeeDee Lamb. No, thank you. The only option was to have Darius Slay follow him around. Yes, I understand the negativity to come, or the negative side of that, the part that comes back to burn you. You know, a coverage you're in almost immediately. Well, immediately. I get it, but I still think it was their best option. Sean Desai did not have his best game against the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if this was implemented or handed down from Nick Sirianni for all intents and purposes. I would doubt it, but I did not like the coverage that the Eagles defense was in. I wanted to see a little bit more press coverage. If you're going to have Sidney Brown on CeeDee Lamb, as I said before the game, the only thing I want to see him do in that coverage is press at the line. Eagles aren't going to do it, but I want to at least see Sidney Brown do the thing that Sidney Brown does best, which is not coverage. It's being physical. So given that opportunity to get to the line and be physical and throw that timing off, Eagles didn't do that in this game. So I did not like that. Did not like that even a little bit. But Eagles right now with this secondary, I'm looking forward to see what Darius Slay does going forward. I'm looking forward to seeing if James Bradbury comes back from this bye week. It looks like the James Bradbury of last year. I'm hoping that these 2 weeks and a day between games, Kevin Byard settles in nicely, and we see that guy that looked a lot more like that two-time All-Pro patrol in the secondary of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I hope to see in the second half of the season. If I gave you guys 5 things yesterday with 2 honorable mentions that I really liked about this Eagles season. There's only a couple of things that I don't like about this Eagles season. I know I said I'd get to this yesterday, so here you go. The number one thing is this Dallas Cowboys game, to me, just showed how weak you could be in your secondary and how thin you are right now. I thought in preseason you were going to have a embarrassment of riches at the cornerback position. And that's not just because of a pick 6 by Eli Ricks. It just looked like a guy was in the right spot at the right time and consistently in the right spot at the right time. Eli Ricks played great against the Miami Dolphins and really helped tame Tyreek Hill. But seeing them play against the Cowboys, they need more at the cornerback position. That is a huge concern. It is my biggest concern, defensively speaking. Offensively speaking, the other thing I'd like to see, things I haven't liked in the first half, was the run game. I mean, it's insane to me that you have a guy like DeAndre Swift that has been so good at running the football. And Cam Jurgens goes out, Sui Opeta comes in, now Tyler Steen is in, and you still can't get the running game going. Just looking at the running backs of the Philadelphia Eagles, and even seeing a running back like Rashad Penny have a good run, then a minor gain of 2 yards, and then you don't see him again, that doesn't make any damn sense to me. That, to me, was the perfect way to sum up Brian Johnson's play calling. They don't let this offensive line, and they don't let the running backs eat. And the extension of the run game stuff with the screens, stop it. As I said the other day, I think it was Monday, the only thing that makes sense, or it was Tuesday, the only thing that makes sense to me when you're comparing the run game and the pass game is that little shovel pass that they had to DeAndre Swift that went for 22 yards. Hey, I'll take more of that. At least you're starting to play behind the line of scrimmage. But if I could change one thing about this Eagles offense, it would be the run game. And not abandoning it. Not forgetting about it. It seems like in the last handful of games, it's like, oh, yeah, that's right, we can run the ball. Even if they don't have success while they're doing it, and this is the most mind-numbing thing about it, because I know to some people, you're like, oh, well, it's not working, so why would you do it if you're only averaging 2.9 yards per carry in some of these games? Well, because that big run is waiting. That big run with this O-line and a guy like DeAndre Swift, that big run is waiting. This is still in the realm of the run game, but Kenny Gainwell, I know he had a great run against the Cowboys there, and he put it in the end zone and responded in a good way. Didn't respond to social media, but responded to the social media fiasco by running in that touchdown. And that was great. But Kenny Gainwell in the red zone, Kenny Gainwell at the goal line, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. To me, the red zone is about crunch time. The red zone is where it matters most. That's where you should have your best players in. And then some people will counter that by saying, oh, but he's better in that situation. Yeah, really? I don't know. What has he done to really make you think that? Nothing? Okay, cool. Well, we're on the same page. I'd rather have DeAndre Swift in that spot. With the ball in his hands, ready to score. That's who I'd rather have. That's what I'd like to see in the second half. The last thing is probably the most important. So these 3 things here: secondary, running the ball, and this is the biggest. And it can be said for every single football team, but your quarterback's trying to play through it. Your secondary has been banged up. Your offensive line has been banged up. 2 guys that you're going to get back: Cam Jurgens, Bradley Roby after the bye week. Can't wait for that. Jordan Davis has been hampered by a hamstring injury. Jalen Carter had an ankle injury. He was obviously back in this game against the Cowboys. And your quarterback has been dealing with a knee injury. If I could change one thing for the second half to help solidify this season and finish it strong, healthy, baby. I know every single NFL team could say it, but just be healthy. So I want to see improvements in the secondary. I want to see the run game not get abandoned, and I want to see guys get healthy. If I could fish those 3 wishes for the second half of the year, I think we'll be sitting pretty come playoff time. And yes, ESPN and SportsCenter, the NFC East race is over. Pause for dramatic effect. Okay, good. So that's what I got as far as the Eagles go. All right, let's get to last night's game. Now, we have a full reaction show, as I said, from last night. So this is literally the game ends, and I just jumped on and just started doing a show. It's very popular here in the digital world, something I have to get used to. But you know the score, 106-103. Sixers came up with a big win over that Boston Celtics teams. Here's Joel Embiid talking about post-Harden trade, how all these guys have gotten on the same page. Kelly Oubre being thrown in the mix in the starting five. Nicholas Batum coming in here doing great things. Patrick Beverley, a new Sixer, even before the trade. He seems to be adapting well also. So here is Joel Embiid talking about how the Sixers have been able to come together to the point where they're the number one team in the Eastern Conference.
I think is a lot of credit to the culture that we have. No one has an ego on this team. We got you guys. We took them in. We got them up to speed, I think guys. The fact that guys want to play with each other and they like being around each other, I think it helps a lot too.
Everyone likes each other, and nobody has an ego, and it's all about the culture in Philadelphia. I didn't think that this season there would be an opportunity to talk about 76ers culture in a positive light. And I'm not saying the Sixers are, because they beat the Celtics last night, I'm not saying that all of a sudden now that means they're gonna win the East and they're gonna make it to the finals and all that stuff. They gotta win when it really matters. Last night it mattered. It's still a regular season game, granted, but as much as a regular season game can matter, that game mattered. You had a healthy Boston roster. You had Drew Holiday, obviously already playing for the team. That's not breaking news. That's old news. But it's not like they were waiting for him to ramp up or anything. And you had this Sixers team ready to go full bore, not missing anybody. To get this win, to start out the season with your 4-game season series with the Celtics, and you're already up 1-0, that is fantastic. I love every ounce of that. We'll dissect it more coming up in a second, but I did not expect this year to talk about the Sixers culture in a positive light at all. Yet, when you moved on from James Harden, the best thing you could possibly acquire was more time for Tyrese Maxey to grow. And last night, other than his last shot attempt, he really grew. Last night, and I get into this in the post-game show that you'll see that you're here in a second. Last night was a perfect example of that. All right. Before I get to all Sixers or all the time, let me throw this into the mix here. The Philadelphia Phillies have some tough decisions to make. 2 in particular. And possibly a third if it does come down to trading a guy like Nick Castellanos. But ultimately, there was a tough decision, I think, for Bryce Harper to say that he wanted to stay at first base, knowing that he's, besties now with Rhys Hoskins. And 2 had fun playing here in Philadelphia together. And unfortunately, Rhys Hoskins' injury, combined with Bryce Harper's injury, led to Rhys Hoskins most likely moving on from the Philadelphia Phillies. If you're Rhys Hoskins, do you want to come back to Philly and platoon? Do you want to sign a 1-year prove-it deal? Or do you want to go to another team where you could still sign a short-term deal, but be their starting first baseman? Or be a designated hitter? He's going to make money. He's going to make more money elsewhere. It's not, for me, I look at the situation, it's a unique situation because Rhys Hoskins could stay here in Philadelphia and he could do the platoon thing. And he could stay with where he knows, or he could go elsewhere, play more, and have an opportunity to make more money immediately and make a crap ton more money later on. So even if you invoke the hometown discount or prove it deal or anything like that, if you put yourself in Rhys Hoskins' shoes, which might be easy because you'll probably agree with Rhys if you don't like Rhys Hoskins. You don't want him here anyway, which I know a lot of people don't. But if you're Rhys Hoskins, why would you stick around Philly? It benefits you 20 times more to go elsewhere in your career. You could go elsewhere, you could still win, Phillies, we know, are right there on the precipice. They're on the cusp. They're in that win now situation, obviously. No question about that. And they're close to doing it. They have some moves they got to make sure they solidify the idea that they're really going to be there. But, at the end of the season. But when you look at Rhys Hoskins, what is the benefit of signing here in Philadelphia? Other than you're familiar with it. There's more money and a bigger opportunity elsewhere. If you're Rhys Hoskins, why would you stick around? Dave Dombrowski was funny yesterday when he talked to the media about, I saw him on MLB Network. He was talking about, the door is still open to Rhys Hoskins. It reminded me of that, Nathan, for you. Hope you're ready for nothing. Because that's what it's like right now. That's exactly what it looks like. So I would go ahead and assume that Rhys Hoskins is not going to be back. I think it's a pretty safe bet right now. As far as the Aaron Nola situation goes, I just beg the Phillies not to do this deal with Aaron Nola. If he really wants 7 years, nope. If he wants $30 million a year, okay. We can have that conversation. Yeah, all right, that sounds good. But not at 7 years. 4 or 5 years. That's what I'll go with for Aaron Nola. $30 million for a guy of his stature is a decent deal. But I just have a feeling that somebody is going to go to 35 per. I have a feeling that someone is going to go to 6 or 7 years on that kind of contract with Aaron Nola, and I don't want the Phillies doing that. They have enough money tied up, and they can do other things in free agency. They are going to be relying on guys like Andrew Painter in a year, not this year, coming up, but next year. They have 2 guys in the minor leagues right now that I would rather see develop and mature. I found it interesting that Dave Dombrowski chose in his end-of-the-year press conference this time around as opposed to a year ago not to invoke Griff McGarry, not to invoke Nick Abel as guys that he is holding a roster spot for in the rotation for the upcoming season, just like he did for Andrew Painter. Now, the other thing is, maybe they're not as good as Andrew Painter. Yeah, they're probably not as good as Andrew Painter. But the other thing is, maybe he doesn't want to put that same type of pressure on him, on those 2 that he did to Andrew Painter. Maybe that's part of it as well. But I just beg the Phillies, don't do more than 5 years with Aaron Nola. Don't do more than $30 million per. $30 million per is a bargain for Aaron Nola. I know there's people that just say he sucks, he stinks, he's no good, don't even bring him back for that. And I get it. But $30 million, 5 years, that's a deal. For a guy who is as accomplished as Aaron Nola, compared that to the market, that's not what I would have paid him. If it was up to me, it'd be like $20 million a year, $25 million a year. That's not happening. The market dictates the money, and that's what the money is right now for Aaron Nola. But I just hope that he doesn't set a new high in the market when he is one of the best free agent pitchers available out there. So I really beg the Phillies to go in another direction. All right, before I let you hear from me last night on the Sixers postgame, I do want to let you guys know about the great people of MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. You see it in the crawl right there. MyBookie.ag for up to $100 redeemable deposit bonus. Make sure you take advantage of all they have to offer at MyBookie. If you want to bet on basketball, the NFL, it's all right there at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy at MyBookie.ag. Take advantage of this, because if you just found a $100 bill in the street, you go down, you pick it up, right? So why are you passing up on the opportunity to cash out right there with some big money? MyBookie has the biggest online selection of odds and contests to fill out any sports bet that you want to make, anytime, anywhere, so you can turn sports knowledge into cash, cold hard cash in your wallet. Bet right now on the NFL, NBA, all that great stuff, and also big cash prizes in weekly blackjack tournaments. If you've been waiting for the right time to get in touch and get in on all the action, that time is right now. Make your winning move today. Sign up at MyBookie. Use promo code Farzy and claim your deposit match redeemable up to $100. Again, that's promo code Farzy to claim your bonus. Experience the thrill of sports betting right from the comfort of your own home. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere, only at MyBookie. Let me do a quick chat check with you guys here before I go over to the tape here. Yo, Farzy, Albert Big O is still on the team at tight end. Yes, he is. And he'll make a difference. I hope he makes a difference. Dank Burrito, hard for rookies to cover a slot. Yep, I agree. If you've never played the slot before, it's pretty difficult. What the heck is this? There we go. That's how that works. April! Morning, April. Sean, T-Bro. T-Bro's expecting the red tee. Oh, yeah, there is a little bit of a costume change here, folks. A little bit of a costume change. I'm wearing a different red tee. Spoiler, it's not my red stripe tee. It's my citywide tee. Pretty much all my t-shirts involve alcohol. I think about it. Melt doesn't belong in crunch time. Rather see Oubre. That's an interesting take. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Farzy 2 buttons. Get thirst this morning? That's funny. Sean Gillespie, 7 years of Nola. Can't take the pain every year. I'm with you. Sean Kilrain, one team desperate for starting pitching that Nola has been linked to is the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis Cardinals have said they're ready to spend money. Peace out, Nola. You know what's funny about that? I agree. I agree that they've been rumored to spend money. I just had a conversation recently with a Cardinals fan during the playoffs. And like, Nola's coming to St. Louis, right? I was like, what? You have inside information? Like, we know they're going to spend. They literally said the same thing. Were you at my daughter's gymnastics class? Because this is where I had the conversation. But yeah, they're rumored to be big time after him. Corbin Burns. That's funny. Perry Burns with Zach Wheeler would give the Phillies. I've seen that as a possible trade, Sean Kilrain. I'm all for it. Plus, I would know that he's not going to burn the Phillies. Farzy probably overslept a few hours. I did not. Any positive getting this guy? Don't know. Hey, team. How about our Sixers? How about them Sixers? Jason A. IBH. The Kobe Dean has played a total of 4 games at Mike due to the rookie season and injury. He watched him from the sideline. I think he's really too early to decide anything. See, I am not saying he's done. I'm not saying he's a bust. I saw somebody throw a bust yesterday. I'm like, the Kobe Dean really? Because of a couple of injuries? Could just be a bad start. April, every Eagles game, I look like Fred Sanford. One of the greatest theme songs of any show ever. April, Sean Kilrain, Sean Gillespie. Mihai! Nola is a toss-up if Harper stays at first. Rojas better hit. Goodbye, Jake Cave and Greg Soto. Yeah, most likely. Include Rojas in a trade for Corbin Burns. Oh, that's interesting. Mihai, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this was an instant reaction show we did last night on the 76ers beating the Celtics. So please enjoy. Now, 2 reasons why we're on this. One, I want you to let you know that I'm going to try to do this after big game for the Sixers. The other is we are taping the latest episode of Greatest Sports Legends Then and Now. So I got to go over there. I got to meet up with my friend Greg Murphy of Phillies fame, West Hall, NBC Sports Washington. So I got to get to the studio. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Here's the instant reaction from last night's show. Jim Hyder produced the program. See you guys tomorrow. Bye. Here we go, everybody. What's going on? Welcome into the Farzy Show. Instant reaction. 76ers beating the Boston Celtics, as I talked about this morning on the show. I can't remember a time I was this excited to watch regular season game number 7? Number 6. Number 7. 5-1 going into this one, and I couldn't help it. Right before the game, sat down in the chair, had the notes, had a refreshing beverage, was ready to tune into the game, and I couldn't help it. Maybe it's the bye week. Maybe it's the fact that the Eagles beat the Cowboys. Maybe that helped cure the idea that I still had a big hangover going over there from the Philadelphia Phillies. And I sat in to watch this, and I had great excitement for it. And I am someone who has been saying for 82 games, you're going to have an 82-game preseason because all that really matters is what happens in the playoffs. But you know what? I'm here to enjoy basketball. I'm here to enjoy the 76ers. I'm here to enjoy the Sixers taking it to the Boston Celtics if they are presented with the opportunity to take it to the Boston Celtics. And for the majority of the night, they were taking it to the Boston Celtics. They were in control from about the second quarter on in the game, and it was fantastic. And then about the 90 seconds happened in the final 90 seconds of the game. The Celtics all of a sudden decided to go on a 10-0 run. It scared the hell out of me, but it was awesome up until that point. So glad the Sixers held on. They held on to win, and a win is a win is a win. And I feel like we've justified enough wins with the Eagles where we can enjoy the Sixers improving to 6-1 on the season and the 7th game of the regular season. I remember a time where I was really this hyped for an early regular season game, but I made the decision early on. I said, after this game, I want to do a reaction show. I want to talk to you fine people. I want to get your vibes on it because I am as excited as I could be about regular season game number 7 and a win over the Boston Celtics. Bottom line is you don't get that many measuring stick games in the NBA. And we just use that term all the live long day when it came to the Eagles playing the Cowboys, when it comes to the Eagles playing the Miami Dolphins, measuring stick games. Well, albeit regular season game number 7, whenever you play the Celtics, whenever you play the Bucks, these are going to be measuring stick games. And although the Sixers lost to Milwaukee in Milwaukee to open up the season and took that L, they have now rattled off 6 consecutive victories, including this victory tonight against the Boston Celtics. I'm going to tell you right now, this was my favorite part of the game. My favorite part of tonight's win was Tyrese Maxey and the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. Because we know that Joel Embiid, by now, the man strength, the dad strength of Al Horford has worn off. That is done. It is over with. Joel Embiid wins that battle. That used to be a thing, no longer a thing. And I'm not someone that hates on Al Horford, but whatever, that's no longer the battle. The battle now is Tyrese Maxey proving whether or not he is that all-star level player. And he's done it in the first week of the season. Eastern Conference Player of the Week. That's great. That's fantastic. But he's got to keep it going. It can't be a small sample size. He's got to keep it going. And I am someone that has had the absolute most optimism for Tyrese Maxey. Tonight was supposed to be a statement game, a measuring stick game individually for him, if you think about it like that. And he went out there in the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter without Joel Embiid on the floor, and he took over. Runner after runner after runner, knocking down a 3 and making sure that offense stayed on top of their game with Joel Embiid on the bench. Embiid checked back in. All was right with the world. Again, until the final 90 seconds of the game. Other than that, it was great. But the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, really the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, when we really consider how Tyrese Maxey was just driving to the lane and making things happen and creating his own shot and helping set up other teammates. He was doing everything in his power to make sure that this Sixers team maintained the edge over the Boston Celtics before Joel Embiid checked back into the game. That was the part that I was really focused on because you knew Embiid was going to play the fourth quarter and Nick Nurse's rotation. And I'm a fan. It's been a while since I've been able to say I'm a fan of a coach of the 76ers rotation, but I'm a fan of the rotation that Nick Nurse has installed in the early goings of this season with his team. And seeing Embiid play the first quarter, sitting half of the second, coming back, and then play the third quarter, sitting in half of the fourth, and coming back, I like that. I like to see the way that I'd like to see how that plays out. So you see Embiid, you know he's not going to be in there in the start of the fourth. The Sixers make a nice little run there at the end of the third quarter. They come out swinging there in the fourth quarter thanks to Tyrese Maxey, and that right there was the best possible stretch you could have. When I look back over it, you see in that fourth quarter, Embiid's out, so you know it's Maxey's time to shine. He hits the runner, makes it an 83-71 ball game, so he instills not just a 10-point lead, but now a 12-point lead. Gets another runner. Porzingis then he responds with a 3. He makes it an 85-78 game. Oubre gets a free throw. Then the next thing you know, Paul Reed gets run out with the dunk. Then he makes it an 88-78 game. Maxey with a runner. Harris goes down. Tatum hits a 3, makes it more interesting. Maxey hits a 3 in response, this time when Embiid checked back into the ball game, and Embiid is on the assist to Tyrese Maxey. All in all, this is the way it looked after the game when the dust settled as far as the box score goes. Embiid leads the pack with 27 points for the Sixers. Maxey comes up with 25. How about this? Maxey and Tobias Harris, just a damn near rebound shy of a double-double for both of them. They almost get as many rebounds as Joel Embiid in this game. Embiid comes up with a double-double, 27 points, 10 rebounds, and Harris comes up with 17 points, 9 rebounds. Maxey comes up with 5 assists to go along with 25 points and 9 rebounds as well. Oubre getting in the glass, too, pulling down 8 boards for himself. Nice to see ya. Nico Batum. He comes off the bench there, drops in 5 for you, including another 3 as a 76er, and his finger is now in the shape of a Z, but whatever. He did it for the team. He did it for the love of the game, baby. This is just round 1, and I am very excited for what has happened for round 1 of Sixers versus Celtics for the 2023-2024 season. Now in what? A week, 10 days? Now you got the Celtics again, and we'll see how that shakes out. But as of right now, this is exactly the way I wanted to see the Sixers started out. Sure, I would have liked to see them close it out a little bit better than what we saw. 56 seconds tick off the clock. It was a 104-100 ball game. 56 seconds go by, and all of a sudden it's a 104-100 ball game. It was 104-90, then 104-100. Sixers take a timeout. Embiid slows the pace. Maxey feeds him. He backs down Jason Tatum. They get a matchup that they like, and Embiid throws in their little fadeaway jump shot to make it a 106-100 game. Brown then comes down the other end, makes a three, and it was almost a perfect ending there to the game with about 8 seconds left, 8.5 officially. But Maxey goes up, tries to drop a step-back jumper, not a step-back three, but a step-back jumper on Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown blocks the shot. Sixers end up bouncing around a little bit, ends up in Tobias Harris's hands. He kicks it out to Maxey. He then airballs it, goes out of bounds, turnover, shot clock violation, Shot clock violation goes the other way. The Sixers come up with some strong defense on the other end. And they were basically able to hold on. But really throughout this game, you saw different instances where the Sixers were able to step up right from jump, literally from the jump. Joel Embiid wins it, puts it in Kelly Oubre's hands. He's able to start a 6-0 run for the Sixers to start things off. Boston fights back. Then you start the second quarter, 35-28 in favor of Boston. Maxey's able to come up with a layup on a breakaway. Paul Reed is able to take Drew Holiday to the rim on a dunk. Like to see Paul Reed getting involved. Batum hits a three. Sixers respond with a 9-0 run of their own in the early goings of the second quarter. And you see them really start to roll. But from that point on, you saw the Sixers really start to take control of that game. Reed came up with another dunk. You saw Batum come up with a jumper. Oubre followed up on a dunk for the lead that made it 41-40. And I think it was from that point on that the Sixers really held. Melton was able to hit a three for you. Joel Embiid went to the line, hit a couple free throws for you. You had Porzingis go up with an N1 situation, able to make the three, or able to make the free throw. It was a 56-50 advantage at that point to the Sixers. Maxey hits a three, gets negated by that BS foul call on Boston. They say the foul happened before Maxey's three. Huge opportunity for the Sixers to go up 59-52. They don't, but Embiid handles the business by fouling Kelly Oubre for a three, who hits it down, so to make it a 59-52 game. You go into the third quarter feeling pretty damn good about yourself. Drew Holiday comes out of the gates there for the Celtics. He's able to knock down a three in the early goings, get the Celtics hope going again. But then you know what happens? The Sixers go on another run, one of two 9-0 runs, and they handle it. Even with Derek White starting to knock down threes, Hauser knocks down a three for Boston. Derek White knocked down 2 threes, I believe it was, in that third quarter. But the Sixers really never lost control. Embiid comes back into the game, goes off the glass, makes it a 74-71 game. Oubre comes back in. He's able to hit a layup for the Sixers. He was the first in the third quarter. Kelly Oubre's follow-up layup at 1:35 left in the third quarter. He became the first Sixer not named Joel Embiid to score a bucket. Kate Scott threw it out there during the broadcast. I was like, no, wait, hold on a minute. Beep, pop, pop, beep, pop, 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 punched it up, looked at it. I was like, oh my goodness, that is accurate. So Oubre makes it happen. Porzingis misses a dunk, which is hilarious. Robert Covington knocks down a three. Sixers go on a 7-0 run. Patrick Beverley gets a runner. Way to see him getting involved in the ball game. 81-71, and Embiid comes up with a big block on Pritchett to end the third quarter. And then for the next 10 minutes and 30 seconds, the Sixers just rolled, just dominated. And then the final, 90 seconds, it wasn't so great. But other than that, it was great. This is as good as you can feel about a win against the Boston Celtics to start out a regular season matchup. This is about as good as you can feel about it. I still got to see more, all right? I hate being a wait-and-see guy, but I have waited and I have seen too much from the Sixers in years past to get my hopes up. We have seen the Sixers sweep a regular season series win 3 of 4 against the Boston Celtics, and then they go on and they're the number 1 seed, and they get bounced out in the 7th game against the Atlanta Hawks. So I've had my hopes up, and I've had my hopes shattered by the Sixers team. So everything I am saying is within context of tonight. What does it mean going forward? It is yet to be seen. It is yet to be seen. Is this a nice start? This is a fantastic start. And as excited as I can be about the 7th game of the regular season, that's as excited as I am. Take a look at the rest of it here. I don't know if you guys can make this out or not, but just to give this to you as well off ESPN. Neither team shooting great from beyond the arc there. The Celtics rallied late. They were around 25% for the vast majority of the game. They ended up with about just a lash under 32% from beyond the arc. Sixers at 26.5 from beyond the arc. Free throw percentage-wise, about the same. The turnover battle was interesting to me. It was pretty much within one the entire time. Sixers had 14 turnovers to the Celtics 3. Fast break points, Sixers had the edge 24-19. Points in the paint, hallelujah. Sixers owning the paint. Outscoring them in the paint 56-40. Fouls pretty even, technical fouls dead even, no flagrants. Boring. Largest lead, Sixers were up 15 at one point. 15! Holy straboli. So that's where everything ended up looking right there for the Sixers. Sixers had a slight edge on offensive rebounds. 10 rebound edge on the defensive end of the glass there. You love to see it. You like to see it. You bask in it. And I am doing that right now. Now let's get to some of your fine comments here. Let's see who's checking in. Sixers are amazing to watch right now, says Kevin. Kevin, how you been? I'm telling you right now, I had no idea that the Sixers trading James Harden was going to have this profound an impact on me. And to be honest, I don't know if it would have happened. If I would have had this profound impact if James Harden was traded before he called Daryl Morey a liar. Not that I have any personal, connection to Daryl Morey. I must defend his honor or something stupid like that. But I'd rather see Daryl Morey look right and James Harden look wrong. And I think any Sixers fan would, because Daryl Morey still run the franchise. So you kind of want him to do a little bit better than James Harden. But moving on from James Harden, acquiring the 2 first-round picks, that's great. But acquiring even more room for Tyrese Maxey to grow is the sexiest damn thing about that trade. So my outlook on the Sixers has changed drastically since the James Harden trade. So, yes, I am having a hell of a lot of fun. I compare it to Jimmy Butler becoming a Sixer and that Sixers run that ended in horrible fashion. And I compare it to going back to Allen Iverson. Now, Allen Iverson, for me, was peak Sixersdom. So I have yet to get back to that, okay? I have yet to get back to that. But Jimmy Butler, that brief, not even full season, that was awesome. Oh, God, I love that. And now, like this Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid thing, this has got me. I was excited about James Harden, but you already knew so much about James Harden coming into it. If you followed the NBA even a little bit, even with James Harden coming here, I was excited and I was happy, but it's still with the caveat of, it's James Harden. There's a fat suit waiting, right? He's going to throw a basketball to teammates sooner rather than later. All this is going to hit the fan sooner or later, right? Plus, it was still such a bummer from like the Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid thing not working out, and Ben Simmons, the whole, we all know the history. But anyway, so like on an excitement scale, Allen Iverson weighing number 1, the Jimmy Butler very brief era, that was great. Now this Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid era that has begun, I am stoked, absolutely stoked for it. Which is why I'm doing a preseason. Which is why I am doing a reaction show after the 7th game of the regular season. IBH, what's up, IBH? Hi, everyone. Cowboys and Celtics in the same week. Wow, it is pretty great. No, this is not the red stripe tee. Yes, I usually wear the button down, but after this, I felt a little casual. This is my favorite shirt. This is honestly my favorite shirt. Citywide special. Don't ask me where I got it. I'm ashamed to say where I got it. Maybe at the end of the comments, when I run through the comments, I'll tell you. If nobody guesses, I'll tell you at the end. Professor Dutch. Hello anyway. T-Bro, red stripe T-shirt, holding up nicely for a 15-hour day. Different shirt. Get Deuce Gaming. What's up? Nurses figured out in 7 games how to use Embiid for the first time. Other coaches had years and didn't get this type of production. I couldn't agree with you more. I hate the idea that I have paid attention so closely to coaches' rotations, and I hate how obvious this rotation seemed. Now, I will say, Daryl Morey last year getting DeAnthony Melton, big fan of doing that. Then getting Patrick Beverley this year, also getting Kelly Oubre this year, shipping off that other guy, James Harden, bringing in Nicholas Batum, Nico, Oui. Batum, bringing him in here. Big fan of it. Like the rotation off the bench. Love the rotation off the bench. Kelly Oubre being in the starting 5, also pretty nice. But I do think, this is what I always say, 2028 first round pick, 2026 first round pick. I know people might look at that and go, oh, it's so far down the line. One of my commenters during my show when I was talking about it was like, I'll be dead in 2028. I'm like, well, I hope not. But they don't have to make a pick in 2026. They don't have to make a pick in 2028. They could use those picks similarly to the way that the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Clippers use them, which is trade them now for an asset now. Sixers could do that before the trade deadline. Sixers could hold off and enjoy this quote-unquote gap year that we talked a little bit about many months ago. But it doesn't mean the Sixers have to make a pick then. It means they could use those picks now to get better now. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, I tell you all that to go into the next question. Citywide, yes, you guys like the Citywide. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys liking the Citywide. Oh, there we go. Mihai Sanchez. How are you, friend? Clap your hands for the Sixers. Game mocked the Eagles-Cowboys finish. It kind of did, actually. It kind of did. Philly Shad. What's up, Philly Shad? Love Patrick Beverly and Batum. Should get more minutes. I wouldn't mind it. I think as the season goes on, you're going to see him get more minutes. But I like kind of easing them into it, and then as of right now, just kind of waiting, seeing, holding patiently to see how these guys develop. Batum is in a great situation right now where, let's see, how many minutes did he log tonight? Let me go back to my graphics department, also known as the snipping tool on ESPN. 26 minutes. That's pretty solid. Patrick Beverly, 15. I think he averaged around 25 with the Bulls, maybe. So that's interesting. How about Paul Reed? There you go. 4 boards for you, Paulie Reed. 8 points. Not too shabby right there. But yeah, about 26 points I'd say is pretty good for Batum. And also the fact that he his finger once again is in the shape of a Z. I think that's also worth noting. Don't want to forget about that. His finger is in the shape of a Z. But yeah, I wouldn't mind to see a little bit more. Somebody is Tony Calvin. The resilient 76ers finding ways to close it out. Game sees. Oh, my goodness gracious. There is a Celtic. I'm going to retweet that. Thank you very much. All right, you guys can check that out on my Twitter. Tony Calvin just tweeted a video. Like, I don't know if it's his friend or not, but it's a very disappointed man dressed up like a leprechaun, or dare I say, a Celtic. Go figure. Go figure. Who else do we got going on here in the thing with the thing? Oh, wait, how dare I? Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, use promo code Farzy at MyBookie.ag for up to $100 redeemable deposit bonus. That's MyBookie.ag. Use promo code Farzy. How dare I forget something like that? Batum's finger didn't want any more minutes. Fair enough. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great. I will be back with you guys tomorrow morning for the Farzy Show at 6 a.m., so I look forward to that. I will say I'm going to do an early chat check in that show because some of the show is going to be taped because I have season 4, I think it is now. Season 4 of Greatest Sports Legends Then and Now. So we're taping that new season this week, so you don't want to miss out on that. Check your local listing for the nationally syndicated television program, including Greg Murphy, Philadelphia Phillies fame. He's part of the. He's a big host on the show. Him and Wes Hall of NBC Sports Washington, kicking around the Greatest Sports Legends Then and Now. Until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great as per usual. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. for the Farzy Show. Until then, much. Oh wait, I didn't tell you. I got this shirt at Whole Foods. Yeah. Whole Foods 4 years ago. It's holding up nice. Nice. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great rest of your night. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is an instant reaction Farzy Show brought to you by the great people of MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Enjoy all they have to offer when you use promo code Farzy. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. See you in the morning. Bye.